Good morning, everybody. First of all, it's a pleasure to have you to join our webinar. And what I'd like to do first and foremost, before I introduce the panelists, is just go through the agenda of what we'd like to cover today, just to give you an idea of the course of actions. So in view of what's happening at the moment, what we wanted to cover is the pre and current COVID challenges. Certainly there are many. Citizens' behaviour changes. How can you meet the challenge? Benefits to be had, practical insights and measures for success. And we're going to do a question and answer at the end. So that will give you an opportunity to fire questions and we'll pick them up as they come in. So my name is Julian Mead. I'm Client Service Director at Inform Communications. My background was running local government contracts in London, for example, revenues and benefits, customer services. And I've worked with Inform for the last 15 years building solutions for local government. So that's my background. So what I'd like you to do is introduce you to Chris Owen, who's the CEO of Inform Communications.
Yes, good morning, everybody, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm the chairman at Communications, and I'm really proud to lead a very talented team of IT and customer services staff here at Inform, and we've been helping councils with their communications for over 25 years now. So let me hand you over to one of our flagship clients, the City of Edinburgh.
Hi there, good morning. My name is Lisa Hasty and I don't know if we maybe need to have some people on mute. Is that okay? Hi there. Is that everyone can hear okay now? I think we all got muted. So good morning. I'm Lisa Hasty. I am the customer contact manager for City of Edinburgh Council. So my role at the council is the contact centre. I have got the customer face-to-face teams and social media. I'm still fairly new probably to the public sector and councils. I'm 3.5 years at Edinburgh with 19 years working in the private sector and banking pre-joining the council. So good morning everyone, and I hope you enjoy the session.
Graham, good morning.
Morning everybody. I'm Graham Beckett. I've got quite a varied career across delivering public services. Having worked for Kirklees Council in Huddersfield for around about 28 years before moving to work in the private sector with Northgate Public Services, where I looked after a number of contracts in South Derbyshire, South Bucks and Nottingham City Council. And then in 2018 I moved over to Civica to run the contact centre and revenues and benefits contracts that we have with Hull City Council. In both Nottingham and Hull, I've worked quite closely with Julian and Chris at Inform to implement their solutions to help us change the way that the customers contact us.
Thank you, Graham. So really to set the scene, the first question is, what have we learned? Certainly what we learned since the start of the pandemic is that home working has increased. Councils for sure have increased home working from 5% up to 80%. And certainly from local government stats, from SOCSTIM and for national details, what we do now is the population nationally is over 60% of people working from home. So this is putting quite a big strain on changing work styles, and this will also affect how you engage with your citizens and how they wish to engage with you. So what we want to look at is some of those challenges. What we want to look at is to say, on the backdrop of this, what is it that councils are experiencing? And what I'd like to do is obviously discuss, put this over to you, Graham, certainly in relation to the pandemic, what you've found, what's been happening.
Well, I think everybody's in the same boat. This Hull's no different to a lot of other councils across the country. The financial challenges are there, and they're only getting worse, I think, as a result of the pandemic. You know, on a daily basis, I think we're seeing press reports about councils that are demonstrating they've got a significant shortfall in the funding. And also, I think we're seeing a change in customers' demands. So customers, the way that people want to access services is changing. You know, why should a council be any different to the Amazons and the that the other sort of online organisations around. Hull itself and Civica invested quite significantly to improve and extend the self-service offerings to the customers in the city, and customers can now access the majority of services online 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And that's meaning that there is no longer a need to call into the customer service centres and have a face-to-face inquiry, or to ring the contact centres. I mean, the added benefit of this approach is also, you can get some benefits in the back office as well. I think if you utilise the integration that's in these self-service systems, you're not only dealing with the customer inquiry in a different way when they're contacting the council, you're also able to deal with it in a different way in the back office. All those are helping us meet some of the challenges, the cost challenges that are being faced. Obviously, once the self-service offerings are available, the challenge then becomes to get people to use them. That's what we're currently going through in Hull. We're trying to, encourage people to change the behaviours that they've had, and we see Inform's quite a good key element of that because of the various nudge options that we're able to put in to the functionality to persuade customers to utilise the self-service options that have been invested in.
So have you seen, Graham, the significant cost burden because of COVID?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, everybody in the councils across the country are seeing an additional burden. Obviously, some of that's being covered by central government, but the majority of councils will have had to put additional support in place for vulnerable customers, in particular the people that were shielding, albeit that's now stopped, as it stopped in July, but that did incur a significant cost, as well as dealing with the additional contact that came from that. So in Hull, in particular, we set up an emergency helpline that was widely publicised throughout the city, whereby people could contact the city to access help or support, or even volunteer to help other citizens as well. Over the space of about the 3 months, that took 10,000 calls in Hull, which is not insignificant across the volumes that we actually deal with.
So would it be fair to say that COVID has accelerated the necessity of change in relation to communications?
Yeah, I think we've seen that the pandemic has been a bit of a game changer, really. Almost overnight, certain access to certain service channels was closed. So, back in March, it was the face-to-face functions within the city were closed more or less overnight due to the concerns over the virus. That meant that people had to find a different way. And I think one of the things that we've found is that once you do close channels, be that voluntarily or out of an emergency situation, people will go and access the service some other way. The other thing that we have seen is obviously the change in demand. So again, the pandemic brought a number of challenges. I've already mentioned the emergency line, but we also saw spikes in things like benefits and local welfare support. So that was changing the dynamic of the calls that were contacting us, but also those calls have different handling times, which means you have to rejig your resources to ensure that you've got the necessary support on the different lines. And obviously, unfortunately, one of the other areas that peaked was registrars. Registrars was not only because of the unfortunate situation with the people that died, but also things to do with weddings and things like that. And there was a particularly constantly changing area is registrars, which we've had to keep pace with to make sure that we're still providing a service to the customers.
Yeah, that's an area we've forgotten about. Is that the same for you, Lisa? Have we seen a behaviour change in Edinburgh?
Yeah, almost, Graham, and we could just complement everything that Graham's saying, the challenges. And I think, Edinburgh being the capital of Scotland, we certainly other services, things like homeless people not being able to sleep on the streets, so having to go into different accommodations. So the challenges we found was we've got about 160 normally in the contact centre, and quickly we needed to get people working from home because, again, where we are city based, public transport challenges. So some of the staff challenges pushed us to how we needed to work differently as well. So again, it accelerated it. The shielding and vulnerable has been critical for us, and still continues to be a challenge with the, I suppose, the again, the sort of localised lockdowns or localised different impacts around the tiered model. We had to do outbound calls to people who were shielding as well, which was again another area that you needed to move resource. So again, that was some of the challenges. And what we're also finding just now, debt recovery. People are getting reminders for council tax, people's circumstances have changed. So the key thing for us, and Graham touched on it, was we've partnered with other, so Jadu and Verint are our sort of online presence and our website, and people have chosen to use different channels, as Graham touched on, and self-service for me is key. We need to push people to do self-serve for probably a lot of the basic sort of transactional things, but when somebody needs to speak to us, again, does that channel be really easy so that they can go from one channel into another quite seamless? So I think that's where the benefit of working for Inform for a good number of years has allowed us to keep evolving that, and I think that's going to be going into 2021. I think the financial costs to councils are significant, and we won't have the resources to keep doing a sort of almost Rolls Royce service that has been done in the past.
Sure. So have you seen a change in your citizens' behaviour and the expectations of your service delivery?
Yeah, another example that stands out, we support social media 24/7, and even if I look at this, some of the stats from April to June 20 versus the same period last year was 94% up. So people are interacting through different channels, needing help, and our Scottish Welfare Fund, for example, that's 300% up year on year. So people are needing to use certain services, but some are sort of things like waste services, which isn't really life or death, but somebody's bin not getting emptied is important to them.
Sure.
Actually, we've seen more people choosing to do that through self-service, and actually we've been able to reduce some of the staffing on those lines, and I know we'll touch on that in one of the other slides, but we've been able to move the resources to the key things. And Graham touched on our face-to-face offering. We closed them from being locality offices to be called resilience centres, and that is homeless, domestic abuse, people that need to see somebody in a face-to-face or get priority payments. And that has changed again. So again, we're now having to think what the future of those offices need to look like as we move forward.
Yeah. Was that the same with you, Graham? You've seen a behaviour change from your customers?
Yeah, it's been quite interesting actually, because the face-to-face offices in Hull were probably shut for around about 3 months. And when they reopened, obviously the necessary safety measures had to put in, so the capacity was very restricted. So on a daily basis, Hull would probably have somewhere between 200 and 300 people in the building, and that would be restricted under COVID to around about 40. So it's quite a drastic change. But what it's done is it's given us the opportunity and the council the opportunity to sort of have another go at customers to get them to do it online, because rather than being able to walk up, customers are actually having to make an appointment, which means when we're making the appointment, we've got another opportunity to say, actually, well, what's it about? And actually, did you know you could do it this way? And shall we do it together now? So it was all part of the encouragement to get people to go online. Obviously, you still have some walk-up contact, and that is just inevitable. But what we have seen is actually we've got a capacity, I think, of around about 8 to 12 an hour in our main contacts, main face-to-face centre, and actually it isn't busy. We aren't getting to that level now, so the appointments have really dropped off, which is good to see.
So in essence, really, for both of you, it's created an opportunity and stimulated the digital transition that you wanted to do before. But I guess it would be fair to say there isn't a desire to go back to the old ways of doing business then. And I thought you both.
No, there's no desire. I think what it is it's about making sure that the people that you know, we're not excluding people in any shape or form. So the services are still there for the people who need it, which is different that, you know, than the people who want to use it. So it's, you know, we are seeing a different change, and it is, if there is anything positive that's come out of this situation, it is that, and we've seen a drastic reduction in
that's the same for you then,
face-to-face.
Lisa, is it, I guess?
Yeah, sort of 2019, we removed cash from 7 out of the 9 local offices, and we just used 2 of our big offices that would be the only cash offering. To Graham's point, although the offices have been open, we've not taken cash. So again, it was about educating people to say, actually, set up a direct debit, you can do it through your bank and things.
Sure.
And that's been really good. And elected members have actually come on board with us, which was a challenge around discrimination and how that would be perceived. So that will not go back. You know, absolutely, we won't go back now. That's the way forward.
So in essence, from this challenge of the pandemic, it's created opportunities to actually stimulate the digital drive and change the way of communicating with your citizens. And in essence, what you're saying is your citizens have changed their behavior of how they want to talk to you as well. So it's an interesting one. What I've done is put a slide up here, just a few things to consider that we do here, and we obviously do with you and other clients, is to look at fast improvements in efficiency. We know it's a must to do that. 24/7 self-service delivery, everyone says yes. And generally people think about that as, well, I've just got a website. But actually it's to have a website that's interactive, that allows people to do what they want to do 24/7, and also do it via telephony. So they can choose any channel they want and still get service delivery 24/7, rather than out of hours after 5 o'clock on telephony, or a website that actually is rigid in its information provision and not engaging. So 24/7 service delivery, I think, is a must. Increased self-serve options goes hand in hand. Customers now choosing, as you both said, and we know that, choosing more channels to how they want to communicate with you. So the key here is to say, let's increase self-serve options, be it telephony, intelligent telephony, texting, be it chatbots, be it live chat, be it forms that have a lot more movement, so it allows people to complete them with an easier way of dealing with it, rather than being intimidated by a big long form. And doing that, obviously what the key thing, the outcome is to reduce agent reliance. So from my days of running contracts in London, revenues for Croydon and Southwark and Bromley, the reliance on agents to deal with inquiries was huge, absolutely huge. And that was just the way we always did business. Whereas now, it's fair to say that if we have the self-serve options there, the reliance on agents can reduce, and your agents then can help you vulnerable, as you've mentioned, Graham, registrars, you know, and of course the sadness of what that's doing and the stress on other people. So having the agents deal with the right inquiries and allowing the enablers to kick in and deal with your digital transformation is a big help for the customers, and you get a better enjoyment for your agents helping the right people. Obviously reduced online. What we do find is online is there are lots of open inquiry forms. So people choose that option quite quickly when they come on the website. And that means that, yes, you're engaging digitally, but what you're doing is encouraging them then for you to have to get an agent to answer that, rather than linking up to their information, providing the information in real time. So reducing online inquiries, whereas open email or just open web forms is a must, because actually a lot of the inquiries we know, and I suspect you both agree, is that it's not necessary for all those to be open. And that's one of the things we've found. And then the improvement of integration with back office. So if I choose an application on the website, it gives me an update, it tells me when I'm going to get a reply. That manages my expectation as a citizen. And that also optimizes the back office. So from perspective of the connecting the dots, if we can connect them right, then the inquiry is handled through the automation to the output without the agent being involved. So there's a quicker turnaround. Would it be fair to say both of you are getting people following up on their inquiries, saying, where is it? Are you getting any of that at all?
Yeah,
Lisa?
I mean,
yeah, Graham?
Yeah, the people do tend to chase, and I think the type of inquiry is changing as well. And in the fluid situation, I mean, you know, the last 2 weeks we've just recently had the test and trace payments go live, which, you know, we were advised in Hull that we would have contacts in the single figures, and in the first day we didn't. We had quite significantly more than that, which is sort of, I mean, I think what we have achieved over the last 6 months is that the areas where myself and Lisa are working are just so agile at the minute. You know, we literally changing on a daily basis, and having the right tools to be able to offer those services and often those new services to customers at the drop of a hat is key. You know, we've got to be agile, we've got to move things, we've got to put things in on a very short timescales, which we're able to do now. Yeah,
it's good. I can see you nodding there approvingly, Lisa.
I'm just laughing because it's almost you're watching, or you see live updates on what's happening, whether it's Scottish Government First Minister or UK Government Boris Johnson's announcements, going, what is this going to mean for the services? Because you're almost thinking you have to set up another line, or you have to set up another online form. And I think that's it. Some people are desperate right now, so particularly for these payments, you've got no time to say actually it'll be 5 working days or it'll be 6 working days. So I think, to your point, Julian, their expectations are for certain services, they really need us, and we need to be, and I keep using the phrase, we are the council. The amount of times I've seen in the past silo ways of working, of going, it's over there, or I think more the council feels really joined up, because actually we need to own it for the people.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for that. But I think it's fair to say the answer isn't just automation. I think it's understanding what the citizen or the customer's requirements are, and looking where automation accelerates in some areas and assists by freeing up agents in another. So what I'd like to do is pass over to my colleague Chris to go through a look at sort of structure that we would consider on engagements. So Chris, can I pass this to you?
Yes, if you could just flip the slide, Andre, to there we go. So this is it kind of looks a complicated drawing, but it's not actually, because right at the center of the diagram there you can see is the customer, and that's kind of fundamental to the way we approach all of our services when we design them. Customer always comes first. And so let's just look at a few of the channels available to you. Obviously, to the left of the customer there, you can see intelligent telephony, and telephony is, we believe, still fundamentally important in the whole infrastructure of customer service within councils. Although a lot of councils are now hiding telephone numbers or trying to avoid telephone calls, we think to a certain extent we can understand the reason for that, but equally so, we see it's a real missed trick here, because everyone has access to a telephone pretty much, and we see that as being an ideal channel shift tool to actually get them from the telephone channel into the digital channels that we'd all like them to use. Every council has a digital channel shift strategy of sorts, and invariably that is mainly focused around improving the website, getting a larger number of integrated forms onto the website, all of which is really important and vital. But it's a kind of a build it and they will come approach, and we think you need to be a little bit more proactive in that. So the great thing about telephony is that not only can it handle a lot of inquiries in its own right, a well-designed automated service, and that includes data collection, as you can see there up to the left, and an integration with back-end services so that you can actually interrogate and communicate with your back-end services to actually resolve the call within the telephone service. But also crucially and very simply, once you've established what the caller wants on the phone, then you can send them a text message out. There's huge high volumes from Socrative recently, around about 97% of people who contact the council are able to do so via smartphone. And that means you can send them a text message. And within that text message, you can embed a link which can lead them straight to the relevant page on your website, or straight to the relevant form on your website, or if you've ready to take the step to move into chatbots, you can direct them straight to a chatbot. So that's really important, to use the telephone channel rather than hide it, to actually be a proactive channel shift tool to get them into the areas where you want them. Very importantly, to the left there, you will always see the availability of a live agent for those vulnerable and urgent calls, and we can give you certain best practice advice based on all our other clients or where we think you should offer live agent advice. But the crucial point is that if the telephony is doing its job and answering a large number of simple questions, that's going to leave your agent free to deal with those urgent ones. So let's progress to the right now, and this whole area of chat, using artificial intelligence within the area of chat. And we've divided this into 3 lots, if you like. One is a navigational bot. Now, navigational bot is effectively a really simple way that you can replace the search bar at the top of your website. Now, the search bar is great in itself. People can type in a couple of questions, and the system will use keyword recognition to bring up and display a load of different URLs on your website that may apply to them. We think AI can be used in a lot better way than that, by engaging with the customer in a conversational way. And so you can say, hi, how can we help you today? They can say, well, I'd like to report a missed bin, or I'd like to apply for disability relief, or whatever that may be. Do I need planning permission for a porch? You can use pretty much fire any question at a navigational bot, and it will use natural language processing to understand where you are and what you want. And its only job is to then say, are you looking for this particular service? Yes or no? And if they say yes, it will just whip them straight to the relevant page on the website. It won't display a list or anything like that. It will just say, hold on, we'll take you straight there. Okay, so that's a very low cost way. For under £1,000 a month, you can have a navigation bot on your website, which can direct people to the relevant parts of your website. But then an elevated form of AI within chat is, of course, chatbots themselves, where you can have a dedicated chatbot for each service area: revenues and benefits, environmental, planning, social care, whatever. And you can teach that chatbot to behave in the way that your very best agent would deal with that call. And that's because customers are able to use that natural conversational language to engage with the chatbot. The chatbot also can, as we've said earlier, engage and interrogate back-end services, so you can actually provide a complete answer and resolve that person's inquiry within the chatbots. They're a very exciting area. But then also, just as a live agent on the phone should be available to support it, down there you've got live chat, and you can overflow a chatbot to a live agent at crucial parts of the conversation if the chatbot's not understanding properly, or there's a really important crucial area where they need to speak to somebody, then we can overflow to a chatbot. But crucially, and this is crucial, the agent, once that chat is transferred to them, needs to see the context in the previous conversation that's already happened within the chatbot, so that they don't have to ask the caller to repeat themselves. They can have a brief look through the conversation, they'll understand exactly what's gone on, and within the same chat window, they can then pick up and deal with that inquiry. Just briefly going to sort of the future, as it were, just around the corner. Obviously, some of you may well have Amazon Alexa services in use, and certainly we see that as being a very large area where we can help as well. And again, those home devices will be drawing on the same knowledge base that drives all our other services. And so a final word on that importance of continuity. If all your services, your telephony, your chat, your home devices, are built on the same infrastructure, the same knowledge base, that means you can have a really nice customer experience, even if they decide to switch channels. So, for example, you may phone up and say, you'll be greeted with, hi Jack, are you calling about the missed bin you reported on Facebook Messenger yesterday, or is there something else we can help you with? Okay, so that's a really nice integrated approach that you can have. So let's just progress, if we can, to a video. We put a 5-minute video together, which kind of shows some of these services in action. If you could take that away, Andre, just 5 minutes. This is to show some of these services in action.
Queries. We took this knowledge and directly applied it to our chatbots and artificial intelligence. And although this is a demonstration of a local government service, but it's a short step for you to imagine how this can be applied to create bespoke chatbots for your organization. Let's start customer's journey with the phone. At key points of our automated telephony system, callers receive a text message with a link. When user opens a link, intelligent chatbot takes the user through the journey of his inquiry. Let's choose to report fly tipping today. I can either type in fly tipping or tap on a shortcut button. Even from within the chatbot, the user may choose to report the issue using an online form. The form is opened in a new browser window. This allows for much smoother integration of the chatbot with your existing digital forms. But for the purpose of this demo, let's try and report fly tipping from within the chatbot. At the next step, chatbot asks me for my contact information, so it can let me know about the progress. Using a built-in messenger function, I share the location where the issue has been found. Now is the time for me to share the picture of the issue. Great. Now I will share my email address. Chatbot will use this email address to communicate with me. I will also provide my mobile phone so I can receive confirmation. Almost immediately, I get a text confirming my successful report. I have also received an email. The email contains Google Maps link of the location of the issue as well as the image attachment. Let's take a look at the admin side. You can use a variety of methods to access the data collected from the user. It can be Google Sheets, SQL, or MySQL database. The data we collect is presented in form of a JSON array. This allows for easy integration with any back-office system. We also understand that there are scenarios where direct integration is not possible. In these cases, we use robotic process automation to populate your digital forms. Let's take a look how we can automate missed bin reporting and collections process. I tap to select missed bin, and at the next step, provide my address. I can tap the microphone button to invoke speech recognition to respond to queries. Now, this morning, the chatbot gives me the unique reference number, and I can always check the progress of the issue by coming back later. Although most of the customer interactions can be handled by a chatbot, there are situations when live agent help is required. The transition to a human agent is a completely seamless experience taking place within the same chat window. When a human agent picks up the conversation, the full history of the interaction is carried over. The AI-powered knowledge base supports the conversation during live chat. It acts as a smart advisor to the agent, suggesting relevant responses from the knowledge base. The chosen response can be edited before it is sent to the customer. The agent can also provide feedback to the smart assistant, improving suggested results for next interactions. And when the agent needs help, they can always invite their colleague to the conversation or transfer the chat to a different department. In the admin panel, managers can easily track users' conversations, see conversation stats, and track their agent's performance. Configuration panel allows administrators to control integration and settings of the platform. And where required, live chat is available as a standalone service. Every single chatbot we develop comes with comprehensive analytics package. We are giving customers ability to drill down into every single conversation, not only to get insights, but also to improve bot and essentially customer experience for your users. Within the analytics package, we're able to track the most popular routes that users take within the flow, as well as not handled interactions. The more users interact with the bot, the smarter it becomes. Our knowledge base and experience spans through revenues and benefits, social care, parking, housing, planning, elections, registrars, internal help desks, education, highways and transports, and environmental. The best time to add a new dimension to your customer experience is now. To learn more, text your name and email address to this number. To create message automatically, you can also Open your camera app and point it to this QR code here in the video or in the article below. We're looking forward to working with you very soon.
Well, thank you for that. What I'd like to do is to bring Lisa back in. Edinburgh City Council have used a lot of the enablers from intelligent telephony through to chatbots. So what I'd like to do is invite Lisa back and just allow you, Lisa, to go through some of the history of the journey you've taken.
Yeah, so I suppose some of it we've touched on. The challenges over the last couple of years. Councils have had the same financial challenges, and the way that having a contact centre with X number of staff just sitting answering calls, that isn't sustainable. So I think the opportunity that the Edinburgh have had with Inform over the years is around, initially it was very much IVR, very much automation around how can we push things like Chris referenced it, text messages, recognising customers on a mobile, push them a link, get customers to do it self-serve. And some of the data that we have seen, whether it was in revs and benefits, which was our original one, 40 to 60% of people through using automation on the IVR self-serve, so didn't come through to an agent. So actually that then meant we could reduce headcount, contributing to the wider council savings. And in turn, actually we achieved service levels which were a challenge, and that's something that every quarter you scrutinise around performance. So actually to achieve service levels was great, and customer satisfaction. It wasn't plain sailing all the time. We might think something works for us, and similarly Inform, that's where it worked in the relationship where actually we'd seek customer feedback, telling us what they liked, what they didn't like, how did we change it. And here's, there's some data up there as well, which everyone can see. The 40% without an agent, and actually, as I say, it can go up to 60%, and 13.4 FTE actually allowed us to move some of those staff to other services that we've seen that actually things like waste or other services that we didn't necessarily need some staff on, we've moved resources, and that helped us contribute to the wider savings. Environmental and waste is up there, something that everyone needs, in whether you think that you use many council services, everyone does use the waste services, and it's a hot topic in Edinburgh, particularly some of the elected members around where, because city centre, whether it's communal bins or individual household bins, and again here, this does average 60% of people every week stayed within self-serve and doesn't touch an agent, and again, huge opportunities there. I think the last point in there is around chatbot, and the guys at Inform have been great in trying to get us live with chatbot, and it's slightly unique in Edinburgh. We partner with our ICT suppliers, CGI, so sometimes we need to just work alongside other partners to how do we make sure that works. But Inform have been great to get us chatbot live, and actually it did go live in August, but actually we went live last year just to get it proof of concept within council tax, and people liked it, and again that's evolved over time. It's building up its knowledge, and again it's another game changer opportunity for us, because if people's on
You've added some more services on, Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely. But so it's evolved because people, if they're on the website, let's keep them on the website. Why are we forcing somebody necessarily to phone? But what this has done is it then seamlessly goes from the chatbot, and it recognises that if someone's been on the chatbot to the voice, and doesn't take them through all the IVR options, which again would be a really poor customer experience. So that joined up integration from web to the voice really has helped us. And again, touching fake woods as I touch my IKEA desk, my MDF, that we've not had any customer complaints with chatbots. Actually, people are liking it. So again, let's keep that going, and that's where, as future technology, let's keep just using that as we move forward.
What other services are you adding on to your provision?
So we've got council tax, we've got waste, we've got planning, building standards, housing, That's the I suppose planning's probably a big one for us again. Some of these services are income generators as well, and given we need to bring up as much income, some of the planning services before was very just voice only. So again, having the chatbot available directs people to the right pages as well, and again allows people to complete online forms or get updates, or if they need to phone us, then again they've explored all the other options before they actually need to call as well.
Yeah, good. Lisa, thank you very much. I'm just aware of the time, and I think we could talk about this for hours, but we better keep moving with the service provision we have. So I'm going to pass the panel control over to Chris, just to go through the phased approach on how we implement. Chris.
Sure. I think the most important thing to say here is that AI is a huge subject, and it can be bewildering when you come to think, well, how am I going to apply this within the authority? And we would always advocate just walking before you run, and the most obvious place to start is within automated telephony, and just looking at a question we've had in from Southampton is the fact that they had 18,000 tenants that didn't have access to the internet, and so telephony can never just be ignored or pushed to the side. There is great scope within automated telephony to use natural language processing to enable a telephone service to be really quick and easy to use. So that's where we would always recommend starting the journey within what for many people is the biggest pain area in answering telephone calls. As I've said, it does address that problem that a lot of people do not have access to the internet, and so but a really good design 24/7 automated telephony service can do a great job. But it could also be a great platform, as we've said, for launching and proactively pushing them into other digital channels by sending them text messages, which can then lead on to chatbots, as we've said. Next click. Then it can lead to either chatbots or direct links to your online forms. And as I've said, chatbots can largely be divided into two. They can be a navigational bot, very simple task. Again, it's a really good low-cost way, simple way to get into chatbots is by launching a navigational chatbot on your website, which helps people around and takes them to the right area of your website. Then you can progress into using chatbots. One of the things we haven't picked up yet is to say, because we're getting a couple of questions in about what technical resources do we need in-house to build these chatbots and to build automated telephony. Our model is very much a hosted and managed one, where we take care of every aspect of delivering these services. So we'll design the services for you, we'll run those by you, make sure you're happy with the content and the flow, but then we actually build the services and host them for you. So there is absolutely minimal technical requirement you need in-house to actually build these services. That's a really important point. And as we just said, the next logical conclusion to the logical step to support your chatbots is via live chat, with that importance of continuity by referring to the same knowledge base. We just flip to the next slide, Andre. And so as far as timescale is concerned, and this again is driven by the fact that we have done a lot of this before, and so we are able to actually deploy these services very swiftly. Telephony within 6 weeks, navigational chatbot within 8 weeks, typical size for a departmental chatbot, live chat in 4 weeks, etc., etc. And so you are talking about quite confined timescales within a matter of months to have a fully bespoke service running for you. So let me just hand back to Julian at that point.
Thank you, Chris. Just to wrap up, there are some insights that I'd just like to share with you. I think you need to think about. Questions internally for you really is, how do you encourage widespread adoption of any new technology? I think this is a key one. How can you facilitate greater channel shift? and move users from more expensive channels to less expensive ones? How do you ensure there are no barriers preventing customers from moving between channels? And how can you future-proof? This is key, okay? Can you future-proof in relation to what you're doing and push on to success? Some key practical measures just to think about: reaching out to your customers, an imperative, understanding what your customers are trying to achieve, and providing easy access to channels. Also, ensuring your customers can engage through their preferred channel. This is another important one. And use your agents to prompt self-service, make sure they promote it, and make sure it works. So we're going to wrap up now and allow some questions and answers. We have had quite a few questions come in already. Chris, do you want to pick up one of the questions?
Yeah, sure. So we've had, say, the one in from Southampton was really important, about not everybody has access to the internet, and so telephony can be a really important point on that point. And we've had another question here, Julian, which perhaps you can help with. There's what level of contact handling does the intelligent telephony typically deal with?
Yeah, it's a good one. It depends upon the service area, but if we look at revenues and benefits, we would target, based on an agreed build, in excess of 50% of the calls being handled. Environmental service would be the same, and for parking, typically, because it's a higher technology base, would be between 65 and 70%. So good figures. Obviously, the bespoke builds will vary that, but those are good figures that we aim for within the build. Okay, that's great. We've got another one here. How easy is it to link chatbots to our existing telephony estate and create an omni-channel approach? That's a really good one as well. Everybody may be happy with the way they're running the telephony, but just like to engage with chatbots. Chatbots can be typically accessed via a window, obviously, on either your home page of your website, typically for a navigational bot, or if you just want to go for a trial, one particular chatbot in, for example, revenues and benefits or environmental and waste, you can have the chatbot appear on those relevant pages of your website. And also, crucially, there's a whole sleeping giant, if you like, of social media. If you all look at your Facebook followers, you may not all be aware of quite the number of people who like using chat as a medium already, and that can be very easily, you might have 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people already liking or following you on Facebook, and that's a great opportunity to actually push out a message to all of those residents saying, hey, we've just launched a new chatbot, we'd really like your feedback on that. And that can be a real viral way to introduce chat to you. So that's just a few of the ways where you can actually introduce chat on your website. As far as linking it to telephony is concerned, as I've said, a really good way is to actually send text messages out with links to the chatbot. So that's a very simple way that we can do that. Another one we had in, I think, funny, I've already dealt with. So what level of expertise and training do you need to actually implement these? And as I've said, our sort of hosted and managed model means that they're very quick and easy to implement. Andre, if you can just help, we've had some people asking about how can they integrate with our CRM and back-end services as far as either APIs or whatever else, and we're doing some work with our clients currently around that. Could you pick up on that and help with that?
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, basically, the integration question is key for the success of any deployment. If you want, this is one of the things that gives you massive return on your investment and helps you with self-service. If you have APIs that are cloud focused and externally facing, this is a very simple task. And if you can, within your IT department, give us access through, our data security questionnaires and doing our governance, then it's relatively straightforward. What we found in our experience is that the challenge has always been trying to get access, and this is where a willing IT department is key, and will give us a good return on investment. However, if you don't have that, there are other ways that you can get around this question. For example, Philip O'Brien asked about, Andy Wilkins asked about the RPA. RPA could be a way of utilizing robotic process automation, could be a way of utilizing to go around the integration issue, where the bot can actually use the online forms that you've created already and fill them out as a person was and get to the feedback. We got a great question from Philip O'Brien about having a bilingual bot. This is one of the really cool things about having a bot. He specifically asks about in the Welsh language regulations, which is quite funny. We've had some experience about that, and doing bilingual is something that is really powerful. And for Welsh, there is a way around it. It's not as elegant as the standard languages such as German, Polish, Italian, French, and all the big ones, but Welsh is possible, definitely, with the use of the Translate API. Hope that answers your questions, Chris.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll pass it back to you.
We've got a lot of questions which unfortunately got to remain unanswered, but we have tracked them all, and we will get back to everyone who's answered a question and help you with the answers on that. We've just got time one really important one though on analytics and what level of analytics are available. Julian is our data king as far as analytics is concerned. Everything needs to be justified. You know, the investment for either chat or automated telephony needs a really strong business case to back it up, and that's available through our analytics. And perhaps you could just chat people through the portal and how they're able to get analytics, Julian.
Yeah, we have a client portal which we set up, which allows real-time analytics. So we track everything. So on intelligent telephony, we'll track the call volumes coming in, the journey of the volumes, where they go, which agent picks up what. For chatbots, we do the same thing. We track the total journey, as you saw in the video, of what's happening on the journey of the conversation in the bot, where it's going, and also we're picking up within those analytics where there are areas of improvement needed, where there are questions being asked, and we're saying, okay, this is not within the build, but the machine learning needs to pick this up, and we need to have that dialogue with our clients to say, this has come up, do you want to add that in? So remember, with all these services, they're all scalable. So what we do is we start hitting what we call the hotspots, the low-hanging fruit first. So in service department areas would be revs and beds first, environmental second, then you'd move on to housing and then parking and planning. And we would build analytics around these to see what happens from day one, and then work with our clients to actually evolve the service solutions to allow a greater pickup, so we can get a lot more involved within the solutions rather than just saying, here you are, walking away. So from analytics perspective, we can also integrate, so we can actually allow you to get those in different formats real time, and also look at whether you want to integrate them into other solutions as well. So for me, the analytics is the key one, because that's going to be your bedrock of proof of concept.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Julian. So we've just got time for one more question. We are conscious that we wanted to wrap up by 11. We have got other questions which we'll get back to directly, but I hope this has been a really valuable session for you. But one question to finish with, always nice to look into the future, and one question here: what do you see as the next steps in AI? What do you see happening next beyond chatbots? And I think I've already hinted that the whole area of home devices is where we see, in a matter of 2 or 3 years, the majority of questions and inquiries being handled by home devices. And by that, I mean, obviously Alexa, Google Home, Apple HomePod, etc., etc. Because if you just imagine a very typical situation, perhaps you've just got home from work and you've found that your bin has not been collected, a very common thing for a lot of councils deal with on a regular basis. And but instead of having to struggle to find a phone number or to go online and then search in Google for your local council or whatever else, you can just get home and say, "Hey Alexa, you've not collected my bin," and it will say, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Let's take some details and help you out." So no phone number, no online, no website address or whatever else, just speak. And so voice is where we see in the future, within a matter of 2 or 3 years, the majority of inquiries being dealt that way. But once again, really important, that continuity is all our Alexa and home device services will be built on the same knowledge base, the same infrastructure as driving the automated telephony, the automated chat, etc., etc. So you have got complete synergy and continuity between all your channels. So I think that covers things today. We've got 2 minutes left, so I'll pass you over to Julie to wrap up.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, and thanks everyone for listening. Lisa, I'd just like to say a big thanks for your help today and your involvement. It was much appreciated. And also to Graham, I know he's had to leave for a meeting, but thank you very much, Lisa, for attending the webinar today.
You're welcome.
Good, good, good. Thank you very much. Okay, well, that's a big thank you from Informed Communications. We are offering a free ebook and recordings of the session as well. So if you'd like to contact us to get a recording of the session or a free ebook, and also to talk to us about any other questions you might have, we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for joining.
And of course, finally, a big thanks to our friends at Partnership Network Events, Jack, for running this event for us. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.